going on, you guys? Rasati out here in Singapore, and yes, I am back again. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what's been going on here in the house. So, I have been trying my level best to keep baby girl occupied and keep the house clean and running and have food in the fridge that we actually feel like eating. And that's been the hardest part because when we cook at home, right, people tend to forget that you end up eating the same thing over and over again for a couple of days in a row. At least that's the way I cook. I cannot cook just enough for one meal. It's just not in me. It's too much effort. So what I do is I cook in bulk. And a lot of times that means that I'm going to have rice and I'll fix rice easily, just the rice cooker or whatever every couple of days. But that means twice a day we're eating rice, right? And that means also that the same curries are being used for the most part. Now I try to rotate the curries and have enough vegetables and meat that I can rotate and do different flavor combinations. But for the most part, I put a little bit of everything and we mix it and we eat. So that means we eat the same thing over and over again. So the biggest challenge so far, not even for circuit breaker, just in general, because I cook at home, is to find new interesting recipes to keep us excited about what food or what meal times we have coming up, and keep us from snacking. Because if we eat well during the meal times, then we don't really snack as much. So that's been the challenge at the moment, and especially because I tend to cook the same things and I tend to cook easy. So yeah, trying to reach back into my stash of recipes that I've used over the years just to be able to do new things, different things that will last a long time as well. Now, luckily for me, I have lots of experience. I've had to feed a family of 5 on a budget before. So when I cook, I really do feed an army, kind of like the portion size anyway. So that means it definitely lasts a long while in our fridge. So with that being said, that's been the main challenge, but also I know that there are a lot of things that are going on in the world that we're trying to manage as best we can because we're stuck in the house. So one of those things is a situation that popped up. I had a client of mine call, and it just so happens that their spouse is also a client of mine. Like, they both came to me together. One came first, and they brought the other one on, and then we've done 3-person counseling or whatever, just to make sure that they're on the same page, because it's difficult when you counsel one partner, and then you expect that partner to go back and either teach the other partner or lead by example, because a lot of times the explanation comes out wrong. So it's easier if they get the information straight from the horse's mouth, me being the horse in this situation. So it was one of those situations, and these two were having a really tough time coming together on something because they got caught up in the details of an argument. They were bickering, right? They weren't actually arguing about an issue, they were bickering. So it was in that moment that Kuti G came up to me and was like, "Oh my God, what is going on? Why have you been on the phone like all this time?" And I'm one of those people, when it's an emergency situation, I know it's going to get out of hand or whatever, I do commit. I come in and I make sure that I give all that I can, because in that moment, it's make or break. I don't want anything crazy to happen. I don't want one to hurt the other person or say something that they can't take back. And they need to learn that they need to be able to rein in their tempers a little bit and tackle the issue at hand instead of get lost in the words that were used at the most inappropriate times. So this went on for a couple hours, and baby girl was getting frustrated, to say the least. And she was like, "Well, why can't their parents teach them this stuff?" And that's what got me. A lot of times, the things that we're dealing with are passed down from our parents. Why? Because they don't know any better. And their generation was not allowed to question anything, let alone talk back, okay? You can't even say no to your parents. You weren't even allowed to question. So with that mindset, a lot of times what they're teaching you to do is what they were allowed to do. They don't know any better. They don't want to know any better. It worked for them. It's going to work for you. It was good enough in my day. It's got to be good enough for you, right? But that's not the way that the world is right now. So baby girl's question kind of hit home for me, and she was like, "Well, where are their parents? Why can't their parents teach them this? Why does it have to be my parent that teaches them this?" Well, my love, because their parents don't know any better. And their parents think it's normal. It's normal for people to argue and bicker like this in a relationship. Why? Because they've done it. They've seen their friends do it. They've seen their parents do it. It's become normal, but it's not healthy. And that's the reason I'm stepping in here. The reason I'm able to do this is because I found a way not to bicker with my family. That doesn't mean I get along with everything that they do. That doesn't mean that I co-signed everything that they are. I love them. I love who they are. I don't always love their behaviors, and I don't always love their logic. So it's up to me to say, "Hey, I don't agree with you, but I still support you. Like, I love you. But if you're going to do something crazy, I'm going to tell you about it, or I'm going to step away." One or the other, right? In this situation, I knew better, and they came to me for help and advice because I've helped them find peace before. And in that moment when they were bickering for a couple hours, they could not see the peace. And that was the most difficult thing in the world for them. They could not see the peace. They could not see where they could find the peace. They were so angry with each other. And that's when I told them, "Look, you got to step back from this situation. You got to stop talking to each other for a couple of minutes and at least calm down enough to see what it is that you were actually fighting about." Both of them were expressing love in the worst possible way, and both of them were receiving the love that was expressed in the worst possible way. So they were missing each other with the communication. That's why they were bickering. But the point is, baby girl was really concerned that I was going to have to be the one for all these people. I told her, look, this is part of the job. I signed up for this. I put myself out there telling people that I can offer peace. I can teach you how to find peace. I can teach you how to know yourself so well that you can avoid situations that cause drama, or at least push people away from you when they do bring drama, or you can stop creating drama yourself. So this is where all that comes from. But she was quite perturbed, right? And she wasn't exactly excited about the fact that I was the only one that could do this. But I told her, look, it starts with one heart. If I can teach one heart how to find peace and how to recognize peace and how to hold on to peace and how to protect peace, eventually when it becomes, like second nature to them, they will teach the next person how to find peace, how to maintain peace, how to protect peace, how to avoid anything that causes drama in their lives. It starts with one heart. It starts with me having found peace for myself and then teaching other people to find peace for themselves, and then they radiate out and teach other people that they come into contact with as well. Why? Because love has this exponential growth factor if it's applied correctly. If it really is love, truly unconditional, no strings attached, I don't want anything from you, I love you because I want to love you. I love you because I can. If that's the kind of love you're putting out in the ether, I guarantee you it changes things exponentially. When I talk to baby girl and we have these deep conversations, I know that I'm doing the right thing later on, and not as a self-gratification situation, but I know that I've done the right thing when she's been in contact with other adults and children, and they come back and they're like, oh my gosh, she's so nice. Oh my gosh, I didn't know people could be like that. Oh my gosh, she's really well behaved. Now, from my point of view, I don't think she's all that well behaved. Why? Because I have a higher standard for her. In the house, she knows she's not going to get kicked out or nothing. She's not on her best behavior. But outside, she really is. When I'm not around, she really is on pretty decent behavior. She is a kid still. She does run around. She does run her mouth a little bit. But for the most part, she's very, very well behaved. Now, where does that come from? That comes from me showing her what's right and what's not right. That comes from me from teaching her emotional intelligence so she can gauge what people need and what people don't need, and then she adjusts accordingly. That isn't to say she dims her shine by any means, but she knows when she might be a little too much. And she knows when it might offend people for her to be excited and happy. And sometimes she just doesn't care. She's going to do it anyway. But for the most part, she's very, very self-aware and aware of her surroundings. So she's very good about doing that. Now, not everyone has the benefit of somebody like me who suffered through a lot of shit and really appreciates peace. So I've done everything I can to search for peace, to find peace, to foster peace, to be peace, and to be love. So that anyone who comes into contact with me can feel that same love. I really, really, truly believe that my philosophy is such that if you come into contact with me, you get to feel peace. And once you feel that peace, once you know that it exists, just by being around me, that means I've done my job. It also means that you know what peace looks like now. You know what peace feels like now. And once you've experienced it, you're not going to let things bother you so much. You're not going to let things into your space that might affect it so much. So this is why I teach. So in the meantime, understand this. Yes, you may have parents that are intelligent enough to be able to teach you some of these things, but not everyone has that same luxury. You don't know what those people have been through. You don't know what their parents have been through. And most people do what they know until they know better. But guess what? In order to learn better, you got to be ready to face some truths. You got to be ready to open up and really understand some new things about yourself. You're going to have to be honest with yourself. So if you're ready to be honest about yourself, you're ready for a change, you're sick and tired of the way you've been living, come holler at your girl. You know where to find me. But in the meantime, if you have any comments or questions about something I've said in this podcast episode, please, by all means, drop it in the comments below and I'll get to you as soon as I can. But in the meantime, you guys stay safe, stay happy, and you know where I am if you need me. Love you. Bye.